All right, let's get right into it. If you just glanced at the headline number from Trilogy Metals' 2025 annual report, you'd probably think the whole company was on fire. But if you dig just a little bit deeper, you find a story that's pretty much the exact opposite. So today, we're going to break down how a massive, eye-watering paper loss is actually hiding one of the biggest political and financial wins of the year for this company.
So here it is. This is the number that grabs all the attention. A net loss that just exploded from about $8.6 million in 2024 to over $42 million in 2025. I mean, that's nearly a 400% jump. On the surface, yeah, it looks like an absolute disaster.
And, seeing that number, it leads you to ask the obvious question, right? Is this company just hemorrhaging cash? Is it on a fast track to failure? And look, it's a totally fair question to ask, but as you're about to see, the answer is a big, resounding no.
And that's because we really have to look past that scary headline number to get to what's actually going on. The real story for Trilogy in 2025 isn't about that loss. It's about what that loss is actually made of.
Okay, so this chart right here is key. It splits that big loss apart. And what's wild is that more than half of it, a whopping $22.6 million, is what's called a non-cash derivative liability. In plain English, it's a paper loss. It's an accounting thing tied to a new federal investment. No actual cash ever left the company's bank account.
So while the report was showing that paper loss, this is the number that really truly matters. The company finished the year with $51.6 million in cash and equivalents. This is the strongest their balance sheet has looked in years, and it fully funds them well into 2027. So any risk of a cash crunch? Yeah, that's off the table.
But honestly, the real story, the biggest game changer, wasn't on the balance sheet at all. The biggest shift for Trilogy was political. They didn't just survive some tough regulatory headwinds. They came out the other side with an incredibly powerful new partner. And when I say powerful, I mean it. The U.S. federal government, citing national security and defense interests, made a direct strategic investment of $17.8 million. Now, this is way more than just money. Think of it like a political shield. It's the government signaling to everyone that the Ambler mining district is absolutely critical to the nation.
And make no mistake, this was not a passive investment. The government is deeply involved now. The Department of Defense gets to appoint a director to the board. They get a say in any major debt the company takes on. And they're making sure no adversarial foreign powers can get a controlling interest. They are now an active partner invested in this project's success. And the government support doesn't even stop there. On top of that cash investment, the project is now aiming to get into what's called the Fast 41 program. This is huge. It doesn't just speed up the permitting process. It creates a public, enforceable timeline for all federal agencies. Basically, it prevents a permit from getting killed by just, sitting on a bureaucrat's desk forever in some kind of pocket veto.
Now, while all of this political drama was unfolding, something else was happening kind of quietly in the background. The value of the asset itself was being totally transformed, and it's all thanks to one metal in particular.
I mean, just look at this shift. It's incredible. In the original plans back in 2023, silver was basically an afterthought, maybe 4% of revenue. But with more recent metal prices, its contribution has just exploded. It's now projected to be a major driver of revenue, making up almost 18% of the mine's total take.
And here's why that is such a massive deal. The revenue from the silver alone is now projected to be enough to cover almost all of the day-to-day on-site costs of actually running the mine. This completely changes the project's economics. It crushes the all-in sustaining costs, or AISC, for the main metals, the copper and zinc. What it means is that the copper and zinc they pull out of the ground are effectively pure profit. This is what moves a project from being just a good asset into that top-tier first quartile of lowest-cost producers anywhere in the world.
So, we've got a rock-solid balance sheet, a powerful government partner, and project economics that are off the charts. What's the catch, right? Well, there is one major hurdle left, and it's pretty much the single reason the market is still so hesitant on this stock. And here we have it, the heart of the issue. The access road they need to build to get to the mine, well, it has to cross land that's owned by the NANA Regional Corporation, which is an Alaska Native corporation. Now, while the federal government has approved the road, they can't just grant access to this private land, and NANA hasn't yet re-signed the land use agreement, which creates this massive legal and logistical standoff.
And you can see exactly how that one risk translates into the stock price right here. When you stack Trilogy up against its peers, the story just becomes crystal clear. It has the best asset. We're talking elite-grade rock. It has the best backer, the US government. But because of this one political complexity with NANA, it trades at a huge discount. And that discount, well, that's the opportunity.
So really, it all boils down to this one very simple trade-off. The bull case is basically a bet that the US government, with all its power and its vested national security interest, is going to make sure a deal gets done with NANA to build that road. The bear case? Well, it's a bet that NANA will hold its ground, blocking the road and keeping this world-class project trapped in limbo.
Which leaves us with this final question to think about. For years, this NANA issue has just been a risk, a big red flag. But now, with the transformational annual report in the books, and with the United States government itself sitting at the table as a major shareholder, has that risk finally turned into a reward that's worth taking?